and welcome back to my channel, Jan at the Barn. My name is Manon and I'm a programmer, horsey girl and a knitter. And it's of course the knitting that we talk about on this channel. Once again, slightly different location. This is downstairs because I have the day off. It's Friday morning and I've had a bit of a tiring week, so I decided to take today off. And then we can have a nice little cozy knitting time together. So grab a nice warm drink. For me, it's a teapot that I got for my birthday from my best friend, and it has, very boringly, Earl Grey in. And it leaks a bit, which is annoying. But grab yourself a nice warm drink, grab your knitting, and let's dive in. I have Archie here with me, but you can't see it. He's sitting a little bit just under the camera, but maybe at some point he will join. Do you want to join, Archie? Come on. Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Now we have Archie with us for a knitting update. And I'm sorry, I look like I've come out of an episode of Yellowstone, but I just finally, after 12 years, got myself a new flannel shirt, and they're the nicest thing ever to wear in winter because they're nice and warm without being very heavy. And a tip, if you want one, go to the men's section because they're much nicer size-wise, I find. Then they're nice and roomy and not tight anywhere. So yeah, I got this one on my trip to Munich last weekend. It feels like ages ago, but it was only last weekend. I went to visit my little brother, and they have a Uniqlo that just opened like right around the corner from where they live. And yes, some shopping was done. I normally don't really buy clothes, but I got lots of Heat-Tex base layers, which is really nice, and this shirt and one more shirt. So yeah, it's nice and cozy and warm, and yeah, I just look like I work on a ranch, but I don't. No, I don't. We don't. For today, I have a half-finished object, but so it's a finished mitten, but only one mitten is finished. The other one, I've only done the cuff. But I have the deadline for my Testknit is imminent, so I have prioritized that also over my other WIPs. So there's not a lot of progress on the Orchid Bloom pullover or the Agneed cardigan, so we're not going to talk about them. But I almost have the first sleeve finished on my Testknit, the Highland Sweater by A&O Knits. So yeah, I need to finish that today so I can try it on. I'm going to show it to you. I mean, it's over there. Then we're going to talk about the finished objects, the mitten, or maybe we start with that. And then I went a little bit overboard with yarn purchases. So last episode, I said I should not buy any more yarn, but famous last words, I did buy yarn. So around here, there's one local yarn shop close to me, but I try to stop myself from going in there. Also, they don't have all the brands that I would like to try out. But when I went to Munich, there were quite a few shops that had lovely, lovely yarn. So yeah, things happened. Some of it was planned, some of it was not planned. And then I have a few online orders as well that came in. There's two more that are supposed to come in today. Maybe we'll see if they're on time to get into this episode, but they then have to be delivered in the next hour or so. We'll see. Archie, if you're gonna lean with your entire weight on my arm, I mean, it's good training, but it's tiring. We're gonna start with the finished objects, which means, Archie, I'm so sorry, but I'm gonna have to move you a little bit because otherwise I'm not gonna be able to show it. I'm gonna put you right here next to me, okay? There we go. He can be a big baby here. You can just about see him. He's sitting basically like a big baby here, and as long as I give him some belly tickles, he will be happy. And no, I still haven't started knitting his jumper, which I should for Christmas. Well, we're not there yet. Although it's starting to feel very Christmassy. it snowed when I was in Munich, and the first Christmas market was just opening, and it was so nice. I'm usually not one for big Christmas celebration, decoration, etc., but I'm starting to really feel in the mood for Christmas, and it's very nice. Anyway, enough blah blah blah. Let's talk about this. This is my first color work and my first mitten, and it's a pattern by Amanda Sund. It's the Patronus Mitten, so it's got the stag with the Deathly Hallows logo, insignia, whatever you want to call it. And this went surprisingly fast. I had a very annoying thing that I had ordered yarn for this just I think the weekend before I went to Munich, and I was planning on knitting on these on the train and getting them finished quite quickly. But then let me show you, and I'll show you the full yarn purchases in a bit. But oh, sorry, Archie, I hit his head. I'm so sorry. I'd bought wool from Hobie, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a bit. But this was the red that I ordered for the mitten, and that was very true to the pictures on the website. So very happy with this color. They have a lighter red as well, which I'll show you in a bit. But it's a nice deep Christmas or Gryffindor red. And then for the yellow, the color I had ordered looked nice and yellow, but just with a little tinge of gold on the website. This is what came in. So this is ochre according to their website. But it's not, I mean, yes, it could be gold, but it's too brownish. So I really like the color in itself, just not for the effect I intended, which is, you know, the Gryffindor colors. So this is what came in, and I had to reorder then some more yarn to get a proper yellow, and that didn't come in before last weekend. So I couldn't knit on the mittens. Well, I did. I just did the two cuffs so that they would be ready to go. But yeah, so that was a bit annoying. But so I ended up getting in the new order. I was a little bit traumatized. So I got basically all the yellows that they possibly could have. So they have on their website, it looks like they have 3 yellows, all 3 of these, but this is ochre, and I mean, you can see compared to the other ones, it's very, very dark. It's not really yellow. This is mustard, also a really nice color to be clear, but a little bit on the dark side. And then this is sun yellow or something like the other yellow that they have. And I ended up going for this one, so these two together, because I wanted to make sure that it would read very yellow, very red. So there we go. So in the end, it worked, but that was a little bit stressful because time-wise it didn't quite happen as I thought it was gonna happen. But always good. It took me about 2 days to knit this one up, which, okay, it's exceedingly addictive because every round adds a little bit to the pattern, and so you want to keep on going until you start to see the entire thing, and then you're done. So yeah, now I really understand why people love color work. I had an inkling that this was going to happen, but it's very nice that it's true, that I also actually really like it. So yeah, that got me even more enthusiastic to do more color work. And so for the pattern, it's a really simple pattern. It's a free pattern. Just go on Ravelry, type Patronus Mittens, and you will find this. I think it's got 4 or 5 pages. 2 of those are charts, so it's not a very elaborate pattern, but there's also not lots and lots of instructions on how you should do it. So if you want to knit these, the things that I did that were not in the pattern, is that I did a tubular cast on. It says to just cast on. It doesn't tell you with what method, I think. And because it's rib, I want it to look really neat. So this is, for some reason, it looks all weird and not super neat, but it's actually, it's much nicer than it would have been with just a simple cast on without looking at the rib. Also, the pattern says to do a 2x2 rib, but I wanted to do 1x1 rib, so that's what I did. I just did normal rib, not twisted, because I don't want it to over time get stretched and then not spring back. What else did I do? Yes, at the top it tells you to just decrease and to just do knit two together, but I wanted to, on both sides, keep the color work here to look really neat. So I did on one side, I did a knit two together, and on the other side, I did an SSK, which looks really neat. Also on the other side. The one downside with that, and I only realized that after I had finished, because that's when I turned the mitten around. So you get this. So because once I made them sort of pull towards the inside of the mitten, the edges are pulling apart from each other. And let's see. So it has this sort of weird look where it looks like it's lips with teeth or something, or that's what it makes me think of. And I'm debating whether I want to try and sew it closer together. But I'm afraid that by doing that, I'm gonna lose the neatness of it. And I can also leave it like that, and it just looks a little bit weird. But if you don't know any better, then it's just the way it's supposed to look. And it's the same for the thumb, but I mean at a much smaller. It's not focusing on the thumb, is it? There you go. It's I mean it's only a couple stitches here. It's only on 2 rows that you decrease. So on the thumb I don't mind it so much. On here, I mean it's like an extra gift. So this is a gift knit for the person I have for Secret Santa from my friends group. If any person from my friend group is watching, turn it off. You're not supposed to see this. But yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with it. I'm not 100% satisfied. I've also learned to accept that nothing will ever be 100% perfect and to go with it. It's like the 80-20 rule. Put in 20% of the time and it's 80% good. And then if you want to make it 100% good, you have to put in 80% of the time. Or something like that. But yeah, umming and ahhing. Umming and ahhing. Whatever. Not sure yet. One more modification that I did is the little top bit of the mitten. It says to stop when you have, I think it's like 5 stitches or 4 stitches. No, 5 stitches left on either side, and then bind them together, and then you get this effect. It's what I did for the thumb, which is nice, but I prefer the way I did it, which is something I saw from someone on Instagram, Craftilicious, I think. And she said to basically do a like knit 3 together, but in a way that the middle stitch is on top. And then knit 1 more round of the outside stitches, so the red in my case, and then bind them off. And that way I was only left with with 6 stitches in total to bind off. So 2 on this side, 2 on that side, 1 in the front, 1 in the back. And then it gives an actual really pointy thing. And actually the back looks a lot neater for this than the front does. Stitches are just a little bit tiny wonky, but I like that they just come together in the front. So that is one more modification I did. Oh yeah, the pattern says to, for the thumb, just do a normal, just one color. But that felt like such a waste when you have this really nice colorwork motif and then just to have the thumb in one color. So I kept the like sides in one color because I thought that was really, at first I was thinking, can I do them all in like the pattern? And that's why there's like one little odd stitch here that should not be there. So that's my one mistake. But I think it looks really nice. And so one thing that I would do differently for the next pair of mittens is make sure that this line goes all the way over the thumb, and now it's sort of stopped at the top. But I really like, especially from this side, I think it looks really nice that the line, the red line, sort of splits and continues. And then I continued in the pattern, and then I made a mistake, and I was like, okay, I'll just do arrows going up. And I don't think it looks bad. It changes it up a little bit. So I'm going to do the same thing for the other mitten, of course, because otherwise it's going to look weird. But that's basically because I made a mistake and did one round where I did the red stitch in the wrong place. And instead of ripping back, I was like, okay, how can I continue with this? And this is what I came up with. Let me put it on. It fits very snugly. It's very nice. I think the pattern calls for worsted or even Aran weight yarn. This is Hobie Friends wool. It is smaller than that, but I knew I was going to knit this for female hands, and I thought in case they are way too small, I will rip back and add more stitches on the side to make it wider. But it's really perfect. So this yarn for women's hands is just perfect. Actually, my husband even tried this one on as well, and he fits for the hand. I would make it just a little bit taller maybe for him, but not much. It really doesn't need much. If you have really big hands, you could add like a stitch in the middle on either side or more, and then you can stay with the standard pattern here for the front and the back. So it doesn't introduce a lot of changes. You have to remember then also after the ribbing you increase by 6 stitches all around, so you would have to add extra stitches of course for that, or even in the ribbing. But to me the ribbing it could even have been a little bit tighter. One thing though, for bigger hands or bigger fingers, this thumb is really snug. It's very nice. It's not too tight or anything, but if you have bigger fingers, and I don't have the smallest fingers in the world, I think they're pretty average, but it will be too tight if your fingers are larger. So that's something to keep in mind. If you have bigger fingers, you can get more stitches. So what you do is that you knit the stitches on a little provisional yarn bit, and then you continue at the back. But instead of doing, I think there was 7 stitches, for my husband I would do 9, if not 10, just to be sure to have a thumb that is big enough. And then the whole mitten has to be a bit wider, of course, because otherwise the thumb is going to be almost to the middle, so it's going to look weird. But overall, super happy with this pattern. Definitely would recommend. It's free, it's accessible for everyone, so that's lovely. It was really easy to follow the instructions. If you're not sure about certain things, you can look them up online. I'll try and make a Ravelry page for this. I'm not going to do that today, but I'll try to do that over the weekend. And when I've done that, I'll add the link in the description so that you can also read my notes on it if you intend to make this. One thing I would do differently for the next time is that my ribbing is so much neater on the wrong side. Wait, if I turn the whole thing around, then you can see it. Also, can we just take a moment and appreciate how fairly neat the inside is? I'm very positively surprised at how well I did this. I mean, it looks really cool as well. But I was talking about the ribbing. The ribbing on the inside is neater than the outside. And so what I would do next time is that in the row that you do one little stockinette row where you also do the increases before you start the color work, is I would make that a short row so that I could turn around and then knit the other way around so that the inside would actually become the outside. Just to have some slightly neater ribbing. So yeah, that is the one thing I would do differently. Other than that, super happy, would knit this again, would also use the charts. I mean, it's 27 stitches over 55 rows. And you can just take a bit of paper, like square paper, and design your own colorwork pattern on that. And then you have a really great base as a little pattern to do lots of colorwork. So yeah, nothing bad to say about this one, only good things. I still have to block this, so you can see it's not super nice and even yet. I'm intending on knitting the next one next week, and then I have to block them on Thursday or Friday so that they are dry by Sunday evening, because that's when I have to wrap them and gift them. So I won't have the 2 finished ones before the next knitting update, but I'll make sure to take some photos and videos so that you can see both of them. Also, I did wonder, do I do the other one with like reversing the colors? But I'm not. I want them to look the same, so I'm going to do the exact same for the other one. So that is that. I'll talk about costs when the other one is finished, because then I will know if I use more than one ball of the red, or if I manage to finish it with just the one ball. Definitely going to be able to do it with just one ball of the yellow, but the red is probably going to be a bit touch and go, but we'll see. We'll see. It's because the 2 cuffs are red, so it took quite a bit more red than yellow, but we'll see. So that is for in 2 weeks in the knitting update. For then you'll hear all about how much these have cost. Spoiler alert, not a lot at all, also because free pattern, but not very expensive yarn, so recommended as a gift knit for Christmas if you've got lots of them to do and not a huge budget. Then on to this lovely thing, which is getting quite big. It's inside out, which is not great to show you, but I'm almost done with the sleeve. I have to finish this round, and I'm almost halfway through it. And then I'm going to do the ribbing. And so I'm supposed to do like this much ribbing. And I've made the sleeve a little bit longer than I was supposed to, because I like my sleeves to be really nice and long. This is definitely going to be like a winter garment, so I want it to be super cozy. So I made the sleeve a little bit longer than it's supposed to. It's quite a fitted sleeve. You can see it's not super oversized or wide or anything. I followed most of the decreases, well, definitely for the top bit, the short rows and the decreases at the start. I followed the pattern, and then I followed the instructions for doing a fitted sleeve. And then around here, I thought it looks already quite fitted, so I then did minimal increases. So for as of 2/3, I did the decreases for a non-fitted sleeve, but it's just eyeballing it because I think this is going to be wide enough. I mean, the stitches are a bit stretched as well on the needle, so I think with the, I'll show you this better, but it's good like this, but I didn't want it to be any tighter than that because it would have been too tight. It's really awkward with these needles to turn it around, but I'm going to be knitting on this after I film this, hopefully finishing it. And once I've finished the sleeves, I'll take a little video of how it looks and I'll include it in here so you can see. But basically, since my last update, I finished the ball that I was doing on the no, wait, I was working on the collar last time. So I did the collar, and I think it looks quite neat. I mean, I've got lots of things I have to weave in, but I like how the collar looks. Definitely when it's the right side in or out. And then I started the sleeve, and so in the last 2 weeks, I knitted all of that, which is not my fastest ever, but I've also been knitting on those mittens quite a bit. I've also been visiting my brother, and I did a lot less knitting than I thought I was going to do, which is a nice thing because it was nice to spend time with him and with his girlfriend. We had like a really lovely time. But yeah, less knitting done than I thought I was going to do. I thought that in 2 weeks I would be able to knit 2 sleeves, and well, that's not worked. The Testknit is supposed to just have the yoke and at least one sleeve. I was hoping to have more, but at least I have the feedback for decreases for sleeves. For the body, I have 0 feedback, it's just perfect. For the collar, so it wasn't super precise what you should do in the instructions, so I'll give my feedback with what I did, and then Anna can decide whether she includes that as options or adds instructions or just leaves it as it is. I mean, you can choose how you knit this down and how long you make it, etc. So yeah, overall the pattern has been pretty good. No big mistakes or anything. Haven't had to rip back because something turned out to be wrong or anything, so that's very nice. Yeah, excited to have the sleeve done. Since it's going to be quite fitting, it's not going to fit over, well, for example, not over a shirt like this, but I knew that in advance because the body itself is quite fitted as well. So yeah, we'll see what this is going to look like. But that is it for this. I can't wait to have that sleeve finished. Last time, I also talked about that I wanted to see if one ball was enough for the entire sleeve. This is how much I have left from the one ball. I also used part of it on the collar. And I think this will be enough for doing the ribbing. It's very nice that the yarn that I'm using measures up like that. It's easy. So this is the Rerum Natura Gilead, which is a worsted weight, and I'm using it with the Rerum Natura Berenice, which is the mohair, and it's so nice. It's so nice and soft. Honestly, I'm going to get more of that because it's really, really, it's brilliant. And it pairs really well with their other colours. So yeah, that's something there's a few things I would want to for next year, like designers that I want to try to knit from and yarns I want to try. I'm still at the stage, I mean, I started knitting about 2 years ago, so it's really not that much. And the first year I didn't knit any patterns. I freewheeled with dire consequences. But so I've only really been discovering other yarns for like a year, and there's only so much you can knit in a year. I'm not a super fast knitter. I don't. I would love to have more time to knit, but I mean, there's work, there's the horses, there's other hobbies, there's life. So yeah, there's a limit to how much I can knit, unfortunately. But I'm still at the stage where I want to try lots of different yarns, and I have a few that I've tried that I really love that I know I will use again. So I've bought some of those. So for example, Knitting for Olive, when they had their big, it wasn't a sale, but the donation collection for Gaza, I was like, okay, I will knit again with Knitting for Olive. That's a no-brainer. So I've got quite a lot of yarn from that, and some of it is for a specific project. Other balls are not. But yeah, definitely the Rerum Natura up until now. I have to say, especially the mohair is so nice. Will I knit a lot with worsted weight? I kind of prefer fingering weight. It's lovely that it knits up so fast. Don't misunderstand me, but there's something about fingering weight that just looks, I don't know, that I prefer. It's not better or worse than anything else. It's just my personal preference. Maybe I am a masochist and I like small needles. Who knows? Anyway, this is now actually it for the knitting update. And now we're going to move to the terrible part of all my yarn purchases. I'm sort of in two minds to talk about yarn hauls, etc., because I don't want to, I don't know what the right word is, condone or push to overconsumption. And I would prefer to like mostly knit from stash and use what I have. But then I see yarn and I touch yarn and it's like super nice, and or I want to knit certain patterns and I'm like, yeah, but a certain yarn would be like next level for this project, and so I end up buying that. And also it's a little dopamine kick when you buy something, and yeah, I'm human. So is it perfect? No, it's not, but it is what it is. And I might as well be honest and share with you what I have gotten. But yeah, it's a little bit. I don't want to end up with a stash that is enormous. So I'm considering going on a yarn ban after my next few purchases come in. But we'll see, because I don't also want to restrict myself and not be able to do something that I feel really enthusiastic about. And it's a typical thing where I will get very enthusiastic about everything and I want to start straight away. But the actual finishing part is quite hard, but I want to always finish a knit that I've started. It's okay to put it on hold for a bit, but I don't know. I guess my unwritten rule to myself is I have to finish it within a year. And also because I know myself, I know I'm bad at finishing stuff, at rounding it off, at doing the last 80% of the work, basically, or everything that comes after the initial excitement. So it's sort of self-preservation as well. Like, don't end up with lots of unfinished whips, and then you also feel bad, or I feel bad about myself for not finishing them. And my husband likes to joke about that too, so let's not give him the satisfaction of this. But anyway, So yeah, that's things. Also, if I've not finished enough things, I'm not allowed to buy too much other yarns, but I sort of failed in last year. I want to do a video of, like, honest, how much have I spent on yarn this year? Spoiler alert, it's a ridiculous amount. And how much of that has actually gone into a garment that is finished, or at least is being knitted up. How much of the yarn I've bought has already been knitted up. And when you look at it in terms of percentages, it's a bit sad. But yeah, I'll do that before the end of the year, or as like an end of year video. But yeah, okay. After this slightly doom and gloom part of the update, let's now move to the actual yarn that I got. And some of it is in plastic bags, so sorry, it's going to make a bit of noise. We're going to start with the first bit of yarn. So this is where I got the first, what I thought was going to be a good combination, but wasn't. But also one big reason why I got quite a lot of yarn at this point was I'm going to knit my mum birthday / Christmas / second birthday cardigan. So it's going to be the champagne cardigan, and she wants the exact same one that I've already knit. So this is the yarn that I used for my champagne cardigan, and I paired it with Drops kit silk, which in fact I've left upstairs. So sorry, this is a slightly incomplete one, but I also ordered, I think it's 6 balls of Drops kit silk in the colorway marzipan, and I'm pairing it with Hobie Friends Wool, and this is the colorway Off-White, I think. It's not the white, it's colorway number 2, if it focuses. So yeah, this is like a warm-ish white. It's not like 100% natural. Natural will be like a little bit yellower than this, but it goes with everything. And I got 15 balls of this because 12 are going to be for the cardigan. So 11 or 12, I'm going to knit a size smaller for my mum because she's tiny. And it's already an oversized cardigan, and otherwise she's just going to drown in it. She says she wants the same one, but I've already worn mine, so it's starting to sag is not the right word. It's not sagging, but it's not super tight anymore. So I think for over time, it's going to be better to knit her a size smaller, because I can notice that mine is like quite quickly expanding a little bit because I wear it a lot. So I think that's all there is in here. Let me double check, but oh no, I'd gotten quite a bit more. So I got more than I was supposed to, because I also got quite a bit more of the red, and I had thought that I could do Christmas color work, more mittens or something. So I got quite a bit of the red. I think I had gotten 4 or 6 balls with the idea that I would need 2 balls for the mittens, and then I had some more left for other color work project. So that's all that is in here, I think. Yeah, it's just lots and lots of white wool. And then I realized that the ochre colorway was not the right color, and so I had to place a second order. They have like Black Friday deals on this wool, so I only paid like €2.20 per ball, and normally they're a bit under 5 or around 5. So yeah, I had waited for them to be on offer to buy the cardigan quantity, and then I got the wrong color for the mittens, and so I bought more. For some reason, I had forgotten that I had gotten quite a lot of the red in there, and so I was like, oh, let's make sure I have enough red. So I got more red, which is a bit stupid. Then I got a lighter color of red. I was determined to get free shipping, so I got a bit more yarn than I thought than I knew I needed. So this is the lighter red and this is the darker red. So you can sort of see the difference. I like this one. I think I'll use this colorway for doing something fun and maybe pair it with the natural color because I think this looks quite nice. So this is colorway 05. I can't remember what the name is, but it's something like natural or cream, or it's not cream because the cream is a bit pinkish, I think. But I think these two together, in real life, this is quite true to what I see on screen. This is a bit lighter, but I mean, it's quite dark. It's winter, the days are really short. It's super cloudy and grey today. So sorry, I think this is, or maybe if I turn it around because it's a bit more daylight coming from that side. No, this still looks darker on camera than it does in real life. It's like a bluish red, if you know what I mean. And I think it looks really good. Not sure it looks that good on me personally, but so this might become mittens or something. Then I got more colors because I wanted free shipping, and so what I got is, so I already showed you the yellow I got for the mittens. Then this is the mustard because I wasn't sure which yellow I wanted. Then also got this orange, and I thought it was going to be way more vibrant, and I thought I could do some sort of interesting colorway thing. But I think the orange is a bit sad in there. So I don't think I will use this one. And in fact, I have thought about doing some sort of Christmas advent of knitting and giving away the yarn that I have that I'm not going to use. And for some of it, I already know I end up seeing the color and I'm like, no, it's not my thing. It looked great on the website, but it's not my thing. But it might be someone else's thing. And it's the same for some fibers. I've got some yarn that I ordered a year or 2 years ago thinking that was going to love it. And now with the experience that I've had in the last 2 years, I don't think I will use that yarn anymore. So I thought maybe you could do like a giveaway kind of thing. But yeah, I have to go through my stash and see if I can make like some sort of bundles or something to do that. We'll see. Let me know if that's something that you would like me to do. And then I've got one more color. I might pair that with the sort of natural one as well. And it's this sort of periwinkle. On the website, this was a bit more vibrant and it's a bit on the light side now. But it might still be nice. So yeah, I don't know, hat, mittens, something. I got basically 2 balls of each color. So I can do some fun stuff. And I have quite a few more balls of the white. I think there's 4 balls that I'm not going to need for the cardigan. So yeah, quite a bit of pairing possible there. That's all the hobby purchases. And then, so I got the mohair with some needles that I wanted. I wanted shorties. Ended up ordering the wrong shorties. The shorties that are like half short, not completely short ones. And then I realized that there's only one web shop that I know of, at least in the Netherlands, that sells the actual shorties that are like 3 centimeters, which are really horrible to knit on, but then you can do sleeves and stuff like that on them or socks. And so I decided to get those because I wanted them originally for the sleeves of the Highland Sweater. But then they hadn't arrived yet when I left for my brother then, so I just kept on doing it on the double pointed needles. And for the second sleeve, I probably will, but we'll see. We're not there yet. So ended up ordering those extra shorties, and I was, I don't know, I think like 10 or 20 euros away from free shipping. And I had a look on the sale section of that website. So I think it's Dolopwool in the Netherlands that has the super shorties. And so on their website, I saw this yarn was on sale. This is Lanagato VIP, and this is 80% more 80% merino and 20% cashmere, and it's so soft. And I had heard someone else talk about this one. I think it was Sasha from Andolini Knits. Is that what her name is? It's Andolini something on YouTube and on Instagram. Although on Instagram she has a different word name. I think it's Andolini Tortellini or something funny like that. Anyway, I really like watching her podcasts. She's a Ukrainian knitter that lives in, I'm going to butcher that name, Lviv. Say that? I'm sorry, Sasha, if I'm saying this wrong. But I think it's her that I heard talking about this one, and I was quite curious. And it had a really good discount on. I mean, I think per ball it was like between 5 and 6 euros instead of 9. And I mean, it has 20% cashmere in. It's like fully produced in Italy. It's Lanagato is so the wool of the cat. It's a brand that has existed for I think 125 years. They were founded around 1900 in the north of Italy. I think it's the north of Italy. Don't pin me on this. But they've evolved quite a lot. They've like done lots of different yarns, and the brand has changed over the years. But they have quite a few like luxury yarns. I feel they really focus on that. They have like a full cashmere as well, and they've got lots of, they have camel yarns as well. So quite nice. And this is really, really, really soft. I'm really happy I got this. I got 2 colours and 2 balls of each to get free shipping. And these are the 2 that I got. So this is black, because I thought it would be easy to do like a little scarf in black, like a little Sophie scarf kind of thing. And the one that I'm wearing now is in a DK, so it's quite, I wear it sort of folded double, because otherwise it's too wide. And so I've been wanting for some time to knit a little one, like either a really simple one or something similar, but in a much smaller yarn. And I got this one thinking it was going to be much more beigey, but it's really orangey. And they could work together, but they're not my kind of color combination, I think. So this might be one that I actually give away just because of the color. And it's really rubbish because it's so soft and so nice. So I would love to wear it because of how it feels, but just not my color. And I'm also not going to send it back, and that's too much hassle. Then I prefer to spend the postage money, on gifting it to someone. So yeah, if you want 2 little balls of this, then this might be a part of Knitmas, or however I'm going to call that, Advent of Knitting or Advent of Knitmas or whatever. It's so soft. So yeah, I have to come up with a plan to what I'm going to do exactly with this. In my pattern roundup from last week, I talked about one scarf, like a herringbone scarf, and the example was knitted in cashmere. This would work really well for it, and it will be this really understated chic piece in this. But I want more of this. I want to knit a t-shirt out of this because it's gonna be so lovely. So yeah, so I've not knitted with this yet, but if you want something very soft, then I can recommend the VIP. Might have to try their other yarns as well. This is my excuse. It's like, yeah, I need to try other yarns to like have more knowledge, and so I get to buy it. I can't wait to try this. Okay, and then for the last yarn purchase that is in this house already, I went to Die Mercerie in München. In fact, there's also some yarn in here that is not from the Mercerie, so we will talk about that after. But the Mercerie is a really nice yarn shop in Munich. It's also quite close to the Nymphenburg Castle, so if you're there on like holiday or visiting, then it's really nice too. You can do those too. And so going there, I had researched what yarns they had, and I had a plan. I want to, so for my birthday, from my husband and from my parents, they had asked what I wanted, and I said I want yarn. I want yarn money, basically. And so I decided to sort of treat myself to like a sweater quantity of really nice yarn, because then it's also going to be like sort of my birthday sweater kind of thing. And I have decided to knit the Zero sweater by Morica Knit and knit it in the recommended yarn, which is La Mana Como, so the 100% merino, and the La Mana, what's it called, Premia, which is the mohair. And I was hesitating between two colors. The very basic, easy, can't go wrong color was sort of like a very light beige. I don't have a lot of sweaters in that color. In fact, I only have basically my champagne cardigan that is sort of in that color. So more basics is always good. But I have yarn to knit the low tide, and it is sort of in a beigey color, so not 100% perfect then. The other color I had looked at on the La Mana website was basalt, and it's this sort of, what is on the website, it looked like this dark-ish blue with quite a bit of like gray in it. It's not quite, it's a bit a cross between blue and slate gray, I would say. However, on the website, I had also seen that the mohair of that, it looked like the yarn, the silk thread had not absorbed the dye correctly, so that the fluff was the same color as the merino, but the yarn, the silk thread was white, and that really, I have that on my Agnete cardigan, and I kind of regret a little bit not going for a more expensive mohair that would have had the silk thread dyed red as well. You see it, it's not like bad or anything, but it's not the effect I wanted. Let me just say it like that. So I wanted to check in a shop whether that was the case for all the mohair in that color, or if that was just the picture on the website and it was a reflection of the light or anything. The bad news was that, yes, the basalt colorway, the mohair, you can definitely see a white thread. It's not like that for every colorway of the mohair. It seems to be for that one, and there were a few more colors like that, but most of them looked really good, had the silk core actually dyed properly. So I really wanted that color, kind of. So I tried with other mohairs. Like, could I find something that was close and with other brands as well? I was like, okay, maybe that is an option as well. And nothing was quite what I wanted. It's quite a bit of a niche color. So not a lot of brands have exactly that color in mohair. There was a gray that looked really nice. There was a Pasquale mohair bliss that was so nice and soft, but once again, not the right color, unfortunately. Well, of course, there were different colorways that I had seen on the website, and I had thought, oh, it looks really nice, but I don't think it's quite my color. And in the end, I went for an entirely different color that I didn't think was going to look that nice when I looked on the website, but I think it's going to look really nice. So it's a little bit on the wintry side because it's a little bit of a colder color, and usually deep, warm tones suit me quite well, but I think it's okay. And I think it's going to be very simple, very elegant for the Zero sweater. So I think this is ice blue, but this is a melange. So they have normal ice blue, and then this one is a little bit mixed with, I don't know what, but it has a little bit more depth to it. And then let me show you the mohair. I got the same mohair, so that is not a mix, that is a full. Oh, it's still in the packaging. Let's open the plastic bag. And so this is the mohair. So you can see the mohair looks a tiny bit lighter, but I think that's actually really nice. And the silk core on the mohair is the part of the yarn that is a little bit lighter. So the fluff, the actual mohair, is a little bit darker, and then the silk core is a little bit lighter, but in a way that I don't find bothering or anything. So yeah, ended up with something I did not quite expect to get, but that's why it's so nice to go to a physical shop. I mean, I really love the ease of ordering from the comforts of my home, but actually seeing it and feeling it for this one. So Premier, I had already felt I have some for my Esther sweater, but seeing the actual color in real life and feeling the merino, which is, it's very light. So these balls are only 25 grams instead of your usual 50. So it makes it pricier because you need quite a bit more, but it makes for a very light garment. And the zero sweater is quite oversized. And so that's why I think with a light yarn, it's going to have lots of drape and be really, really beautiful, and not get too heavy. So that's why I wanted to go with that. The Lamana yarns in general, they sort of advertise with that they are super light. They do this on purpose. And yeah, it's very, very soft. It's very nice. And yeah, it's super, super light, of course. No, this is the one that has to go back in the package. So yeah, really excited to somewhere this winter cast this on, because that's the idea. Then I got 2 skeins, and then these 2 balls are from a different shop. I went in there with my little brother, who's not little at all. He's much taller than I am. And so I explained to him, like, yeah, you go in a shop so that you can see the colors, but also so you can feel the yarn. And so he helped with touching everything. And one of the things that he sort of like flashed on was this yarn. Is it going to focus? Yes, sort of. But this is Swalen. It's a Swiss hand dyer. And this is alpaca and silk. And he would basically not let go after touching this. He kept it in his hands, and he loved it so much. And I had, as a present, I had knitted the solarium hat for his girlfriend, and I had gifted that to her, but I didn't have any knitted presents for him. And he was so in love with this one that I just told him, like, okay, we're gonna get this one, and I'm gonna knit a hat out of this for you, like a manly hat. So that is the plan for this lovely skein. I can't start yet because I left my ball winder in France, like an idiot. So yeah, I'll be back for Christmas, and then I can wind this in a ball and I can start knitting a hat. This is so soft. I have alpaca with silk and even a bit of cashmere as well, for something I want to knit for myself. But yeah, there's something about alpaca mixed with a bit of silk. It's so beautiful, so nice. So this actually looks a little bit like the colorway that I have, but I have it in fingering weight, and I'm not knitting another hat in fingering weight right now. So this is quite a bit bigger, and it's very fluffy as well. This is the colorway Dan. I'm not sure what it means, but it's basically like a gray blue. So all the yarns that I got are very assorted together for some reason. And this is the next one that I got. And then from the other shop, it's a green. So yeah, it's somehow I had a very blue-grayish weekend. Not in like the sense that I was blue, but just in the colors that I chose. I guess it's winter and I lean towards like darker tones. Um, but yeah, this will become a hat for my little brother. And if I have enough left over, I mean, this is 100 grams. So does it say it's about, oh, so this is 10% cashmere as well. Wow, I'm so good at actually reading labels and knowing what I buy. This is 70% baby alpaca, which explains the super softness, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere. So it's actually kind of the same as the yarn that I have upstairs, the alpaca yarn that I have upstairs as well. Yeah, that explains the super softness. But it's 225 meters for 100 grams. So yeah, I'm probably going to knit this up on like 4mm needles or something. And I think what I want to do, I think I still have to find a pattern. So if you have good men hat patterns, it doesn't have to be men's, but with enough size possibilities, I'd like something that is sort of a beanie, but not with an enormous big point on the top. A relatively relaxed fit, but it still needs to be quite classic. And I'd like to do something that plays with ribbing going all the way to the top of the hat. So I think Sari Nordland has one. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a little bit pointy at the top. And so if you know of any that are a little bit less pointy, that'd be really nice. I don't have a preference for starting at the top or at the bottom. So suggest whatever you think is good. And then this will happen at some point in the near future, because I'm seeing my brother again a bit after Christmas. So as soon as we get to France, I have to wind this up in a ball and knit it. And I basically have like a week to knit him a hat, and then I can gift it to him when I see him again. So yeah, that is one project upcoming. I need to do like a winter project update, but I'll do that towards the end of December when winter actually starts. And lots of my current projects are going to be carried over into that, I fear. Anyway, the last thing I got from Die Mercerie is this yarn. This is a sock yarn. I would have preferred to get a fingering weight, but it didn't, like a normal, like a 4-ply or something. But they only had this or single strand. I don't want to do single strand anymore. Done that, failed, and so now always going for something with a ply. So it's a sock weight, and it's got these beautiful speckles, and it is like grayish with a bit of blue, and so the like rust colored speckles. This is the colorway Corrode. And yeah, it's super nice. And it's, I mean, there's some nylon in there. Let me check how much of it there is. 25% nylon, and the rest is superwash merino wool. So it's nice and soft, a little bit bouncy. And I think I want to turn this in a little scarf. I love scarves. I want to knit more scarves for next year, and well, I'm going to say end of this year, but that's just not going to happen. There's not enough time left. But I want to pair this with a mohair, and it didn't have any mohairs that would work well with this. I have, however, found one that I ordered with something else as well. But just because it's Black Friday, they might have an offer and they're selling out fast. Before it already arrives and I can show it to you, I can already tell you a bit about it. Les Garçons is a brand, a yarn shop in, I think it's Toronto or Montreal. I'm not sure, but Canada anyway. And they dye their own yarn. They also make some knitting patterns. They're two guys, hence Les Garçons, and they have some really beautiful colorways. And they had been teasing on Instagram about their Metropolis or Metropole collection. And so they had 3 sets of 3 colors for different cities, and there's 3 different colors in every set sort of matched together, so you could do like a fade from one color to the next, which is something I have thought about, but I stopped myself doing. And they have some really beautiful ones. In ones for, I can't remember the city names. I know one of them is New York. And then they have some much more very pinkish ones, and there's like a dark pink that looks a little bit like the yarn I'm using for my Orchid Bloom pullover. So that looks really, really beautiful as well. And then they also have a collection that looks a lot like this colorway, but then a very sort of lighter tone, like lighter blue, then a sort of in between blue gray, and then something that looks quite similar to this one. So this is from Life in the Long Grass. But yeah, they have a version of this that is even darker, that looks to die for. And I've ordered some yarn that I will talk about when it arrives here, because it's for a project that I've had for a long time. But also ordered a mohair in the Squamish colorway, which is the dark version of this basically. And I'm going to pair it with this. And I think it's going to look absolutely gorgeous. So I'm quite excited. That should be coming in. No, it's not arriving today. I don't know if it has left Canada yet, but so somewhere next week. So in the next knitting update, I should be able to show it to you, and then I can pair it with this for one of the many projects that I will at some point knit when I have time. But I'm quite excited. So this is the other contender for that little herringbone scarf. It's tiny, tiny, tiny. I mean, look at how small this is. So that would then be quite an involved project. So I think the cashmere yarn is going to work better for that one. And I do a different scarf with the mohair. With this. But yeah, so not 100% sure what this will become exactly, but I do want to pair it with the mohair because it's too thin to use on its own. I'm not going to knit socks out of this. I want to knit a little accessory out of this. And so, yeah, stay tuned for what this will actually become. If you have some glorious ideas for what I should do with this and the mohair that's going to go with it, let me know. I'm open to ideas. So yeah, that was that. And then we're almost finished. I promise. I don't know how long I've been recording for. Oh, over an hour. There we go. Great. I will cut some of it out, so this might not be a full hour update, but I tend to waffle a lot. I'm sorry. Although if you're here, you probably enjoy it, so I'm not forcing you to be here, but I appreciate you to be here. The last thing I got is, so if you've seen my previous updates, you know that this scarf was intended for my sister-in-law, but I finished it after they had left because I was a bit late knitting it. And then at some point I needed a scarf, and so I started using it, and she never got the scarf because now it's mine. So I basically stole her gift knit, which is why I knitted the solarium hat to gift to her when I visited them last weekend, because I did feel bad for it. So I've sort of made up for that. But it would be really nice if I could pair that with a scarf, and so she still would get a scarf from me. So I got, and this is quite bad, we visited 2 more yarn shops in Munich. And I can't remember what the one was called that I got this yarn from. This is Baby Alpaca, and it's a nice, squishy, I would say this is a thick DK. It's almost worsted. It's 115 meters for 50 grams. So yeah, this should knit up quite fast. And what I do want to knit with this is a little scarf, but not a Sophie scarf. I want it to have a little pattern. And the idea I have for this one is designed by Olga Putano. And I will talk about it in the video with lots of scarves, so I'm not going to say too much about it, but it has little patterns of little stripes sort of crossing. So yeah, that's the idea. 50 grams might be enough, but I thought it might just about not be enough, so I got 2 balls. I don't think this was super expensive. But yeah, it's alpaca, so it's super, super soft. And I made her try it in a shop, like put it against her neck, because some people can't handle alpaca, and she was fine. So, which is also, this one was knitted last year when I only started to discover nice yarns, I would say. So this is Hobie Friends Wool, which is totally fine, but it's paired with Hobie Diablo, which is their sort of cheap dupe for mohair. And I don't really recommend that one for anything that's close to your neck. So for anything else, it's fine. It's not as soft as mohair though. So if you're on a budget, it's a great alternative if you do want fluff. But now that I have knitted with actual mohair and have discovered nice mohairs as well, I can't really go back. And I have the luxury that I have a budget that can stretch to include nice, super soft mohair. So now I have quite a bit of Hobie Diablo that I don't know what to do with. So again, one more for the giftmas. But yeah, so she found this one actually scratchy, so it's probably a good thing that she didn't get it as a gift. I'm trying to talk myself out of this. So this is going to become a nice little scarf and a pattern that I've wanted to knit ever since I saw it. I mean, that's the case for lots of patterns, so it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to knit everything that is on my Ravelry list. But it's a nice little excuse, and it's going to work color-wise quite well with the solarium hat that I gifted her. So yeah, this is one more gift knit for somewhere. I mean, there's no hard deadline. She's not going to be here for Christmas, so it's not like I have to have it ready by then. So it might be one of the things that I do in the next few months, and then I send it by post, or I give it to my brother when I see him, if he visits before I see her. So yeah, and that was all the yarn that I got, which is quite a lot. I still need to put it all in my spreadsheet of how much I've bought and what I've bought exactly and how much it costs. And let's just say that it wasn't a cheap trip to Munich. So, okay, at least all the yarn for my sweater, I'm gonna get that from my parents and my husband. But then I still spend lots of money this month on yarn. Yeah, okay, we'll do that in a separate video. So I think this is it for today. I'm gonna spend the rest of the day knitting on my Highland sweater. I'll also need to edit this so that it can go live at 5 p.m. today. And so I hope I will be able to get all of that ready, like finish the sleeve and do a bit of filming and then post it all. But yeah, this is then it for today. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've made some progress on your knitting. And then I will see you next week. I don't know what the video for next week will be yet. It might be the video about the scarves. It could be the first Giftmas. I don't know. Let me know if there's something you would like to see next week. But one thing I do know is that it will come out next week on Friday at 5 p.m. So I'll see you there. Have a lovely time knitting in the meantime. Lovely weekend, lovely week, and see you next week. Bye bye.